record. So when's the meet exactly? Is it 3.5 weeks away?
That's pretty accurate, Pete. It's gonna be on. So I compete on the last day on Saturday, so it'll be June 11th, South
June.
Africa time. So I think it's like 6 hours ahead of you, 7 hours ahead of me, and I think like 9 hours ahead of the Pacific uh, time zone.
Okay, so the meet's in South Africa?
Yes, sir. Whenever they first told us that, I didn't really know how to feel, just because like there's like all this negative stigma around traveling to South Africa or just Africa in general. So it didn't sound like the best destination to go, especially because before then, like before they announced South Africa, like there was rumors of like an island like off the shore of Italy. Um, I can't think of any other location that they were like teasing, but they settled on South Africa. I don't remember when, but yes, sir, it'll be Sun City, South Africa.
What's the meet called? Is it IPF or
Yeah, it's the IPF World Championships or Classic. I know they have like two or three where they do one for single ply and then Raw, which is Classic.
okay? So obviously you competed in April, I believe, mid-April, wasn't that? Or early
Early
April, April
April, yeah,
1st.
April 3rd, April 3rd.
And so how did you got the 992 squat, the 567 bench, and then the 887, I believe, deadlift. So it was like 2447 was the total.
Yeah.
So it looked like you had more in the tank, particularly on squat and deadlift. Do you think, I mean, I assume the plan at this upcoming meet is to knock out the all-time total record, which is held by Dan Bell. Is that what you're kind of aiming for?
Actually, we're gonna save that one for Sheffield. So I don't know if you're too aware. SBD's holding like this big money meet for all of their world champions, and that one's going to be March 2023. So really, the plan going into this one is just hopefully, God willing, snag a couple more competition PRs. But for sure, if everything is at least decent heading up into the world championships, we are going to go for 1,003, I believe, on our third squat. And if deadlifts are feeling good, how they were on meet day, then I don't think me and Joey would see any reason not to go for 903. So those are just two numbers that we're kind of going for. But because of the way they're going to be scoring the victor for Sheffield, we're not really planning on going all out at this meet either, just because we want to be able to save some chips and some cards for obviously when there's going to be like 50K on the line in March. So the plan is really like, let's try to go 9 for 9. Let's chip Ray's world record, make it official, because the way it works in the IPF is you need to be at an international meet for these world records to be legitimized, just because you need at least 3 world referees. So that's really just the plan. It's just we're gonna go secure the second world title. We're gonna punch our ticket to Sheffield, and we're just going to officially legitimize us having like the #1 drug tested world record, and that'll bump me up to #2 all time.
So who is number one all time?
It's Dan. Dan still holds it, I think, with 11:27.5.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Dan Bell, you're talking as the all-time total record.
But
Okay, I was
yeah,
thinking within the USAPL because
yeah, that's Ray. Ray still has the record by 2.5 kilos.
okay, so 1,030 squat, and based on what I saw with the 992, you'll have that for sure. I saw the 815 for 5.2 from a couple weeks ago, and that was ridiculous. I mean,
I wasn't even planning on going to heavy that day, but it's because my younger brother, like, he was just training his ass off, and he had just gone before me. He PR'd. I think he hit like 711 for 6, and that was a huge PR. And it was just like the energy with the guys. Because I was originally going to settle with a set, like my top set was going to be like 50 pounds under, and just the atmosphere, I just couldn't like not meet their energy. So I was like, you know what? Let's screw it. Let's go 815. That was a 2.5 key PR for a set of 5, and it moved really well. I can typically feel how my squats are going to feel like when I start getting closer to 1,000 by the way that like sets at 800 feel, just because like those last 2 reps, when you're squatting 800 for reps, like your hips really get the fatigue in, and I feel like the best way to simulate 1,000 pound squat without really going up that heavy is at least doing like 800 pounds for reps.
See, that's crazy. Like your squat is just so unreal. And you know what really impresses me about your squat? Your depth is unquestionable. Like you're not only hitting this weight, but I know a lot of guys, maybe not necessarily in the USAPL, but in other federations, once they get to those weights, depth becomes more questionable. And from what I've seen with your squats, like you guys can look at his 815 for 5, unquestionable depth, unquestionable. So it's just kind of crazy that you're not only hitting these numbers and you're going to hit these records, but the standard to which you're hitting them it's as good as it could possibly be.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something that I try to embody with my training and just who I am as a person, like to an everyday, day-to-day basis. I really just want everything that I do to just be completely undeniable. And that goes from my training standards to like just being transparent, like from the ground up. Everything that I choose to do that I want to do, I want it to be undeniable. Like when everything is said and done and I walk away or I do something else, when people look at my career, when they look at my performances, like people aren't going to be able to say anything because my squats are to standard, my benches to standard, my deadlifts to standard. And I just feel like that just is a part of my pursuit of excellency because I think a lot of people, they're like, oh, like all that matters is the number. And I mean, to a degree, I'm going to agree to that because, yeah, like that's what powerlifting is. Powerlifting is who has the biggest numbers. But at the same time, if you can have the biggest numbers and the best standard, then at that point, like you're really just like establishing yourself as the better competitor, the better athlete, and just someone who's able to execute all around on meet day when the chips are on the table.
Well, what's your like ultimate goal in the sport? Because obviously, I feel like you could smash the all-time total record in a matter of 3 weeks. I know you're not going to. You're going to kind of hold off, but it's there. We know it's there. Everyone knows you're going to get it. It's inevitable. And you've hit such crazy numbers. Like, what is the ultimate goal in terms of your whole career? What do you see yourself doing?
So I'm actually talked about this in one of mine and my brother's most recent YouTube videos. And it really took me by surprise just because after this most recent performance, like the week after, it was like the weirdest week I've ever had in my life just because I had already hit this ridiculous total, something that I thought was going to take me a lot longer to reach. And I kind of had a lot of hard conversations with myself just because I'm someone who needs to, like, I need to have goals in front of me or else my motivation and discipline isn't going to be as refined as it is right now. So I was talking to my brothers, Pablo specifically, and my girlfriend, and I was just really talking to myself like every day for that whole week after, and I was like, man, like is it like what else? What more could I do? Like what else do I have within me? Because powerlifting for me is an avenue in which I can like how do I say this? Express my philosophies to their fullest because we can get into that in a little bit, but pretty much so I was thinking, I'm like, okay, so obviously 2,500 is next, 1,000 squat, a 900 deadlift, and a 600 bench. Like those are on the table. And I was just thinking to myself, like, well, Dan is pretty much going to hit 25 in sleeves at his next sleeve competition as long as he stays healthy. TD is for sure going to hit 2,500 in sleeves when he gets healthy. So I was just thinking, like, man, like, obviously different federations, like, we can get into that in a little bit. Like, they're taking stuff, I'm not. And it's like, okay, what can I do to just go even further? Because in my perspective, it's like the difference is it's like I have to make sure everything is perfect. I can't afford a hiccup. Like I'm not taking something that's going to help me heal or recover like that, like everything that I do has to be calculated. So it's like from here until the next 2-3 years, it's like I need to find a goal that's going to help keep everything locked in, locked down until I reach it. So I kind of just settled on 26 because I know Dan hit it in wraps, but I just feel like to hit 26 in sleeves is just something so ridiculous that it's just going to be, it's not just a historical powerlifting moment. It's going to be strength sports history. So that's really what I'm pursuing is historical greatness. Like that's what I want. I want when I'm past my time and 50 years have passed and whatever social media platform kids are on, I want them to replay my highlights from right now. Like I want people to watch my videos and be like, damn, like that was a bad SOB. And he did everything the right way, like he did everything to standard and more. Like that's really everything that I have in mind when I think of why I do what I do.
So 2,600, that'd be about with, okay, off of your capabilities now. Let's say your capability now is 2,500. Let's say that's where you're at right now. So that's 100 more pounds on the total. Roughly, what would the numbers be that you would see yourself at putting you at 2,600?
I actually indulge in this every now and then on my calculator app. So I think I would need to hit, I think 1,050 squat in a couple years, like maybe within the next year and a half, and then like maybe a 606 bench, and then I would just need like pretty much like a nine, like a mid to low 900 deadlift. So not too far off, I think, in my opinion.